game onto Tabletopia. I imagine there's a lot to it, but just a quick kind of how to start. What do you need to begin with?
I mean, Richard, you've been through this process. How comfortable was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have to learn the interface and learn how to bring objects in to the Tabletopia environment. But once you've played around with it for a few days, it's really not that complex at all. Really, you need the artwork for the game, which for the publisher you presumably got that, and all the components and all the bits and pieces, and then you basically, it's actually relatively easy then just to import them. So sets of cards like those cards we were looking at in Great Fire are just individual JPEGs, which I imported and created individual decks. So there's the fire move decks and the objective decks and whatever else I've got, then you have to you create the setups from those objects and just draw them in. And literally you are physically bringing the things onto the table. So it's like you're opening the game box and getting the bits out, and you put them on the table as if you were setting the game up in real life. So once you've got the bits in, now there are supported objects which are already there, aren't there? You've got featured objects. So the meeples, the houses were all pre-existing things. So I didn't have to do anything apart from say I want to use these houses and these things. One of the problems with Great Fire is those with the real game, there's fire cones, three-dimensional cones on which top black sort of hollow cones drop on top of them to show you fighting the fire. And we had a bit of play around with that, but we couldn't quite work out how to make that work. So in the end, we decided that the red cylinders with sort of black discs that drop on the top was a reasonable workaround. Now you can import three-dimensional objects, and a lot of, I think quite a few of the other publishers have brought in 3D objects and things. Unfortunately, my 3D modeling skills are not up to much, to be honest. So I was wanting to use as much of the existing stuff that you've got in there, and then so I didn't have to do much of that. But I found it was I'm working on all 4 of the games that are published, and all of them should be on there within the next sort of week or 2 or 3, and I think it's not a difficult process. But you also offer a paid for service if publishers want to engage your services and do a proper professional presentation of it as well. So there is that option, which is worth looking at. But it's not difficult as an individual with no skills at all. To be honest, I hadn't even. We were talking before this started that I'd started looking at Tabletopia when we began thinking about doing a virtual show and how we were going to allow demonstrations of games as opposed to maybe tournaments where you might want the game run for you, but where when you want to demonstrate the game, you really want to have that interactive tactile feel that you're sort of saying, on these bits over here, I could move them here and I could do that and I could do that and this would make that happen. And that I think in a sandbox environment works beautifully, really. So I literally 3-4 months ago, I hadn't heard of Tabletopia. I'd never even tried, and in the space of about a couple of weeks, I got Great Fire in pretty much a functioning state. So I could do it. I think most people should be able to.
Yeah, Millie, if you just bring us back to the Tabletopia screen briefly, I'll show you up here. So we've got the workshop, which is just up here. Can people see that? Yes. So we've got the workshop up here. And if you click into that, that'll basically take you to the space. You can just create a new game. So you can create a new game from scratch. We've got a lot of tutorials and a lot of game designer checklists and ways to interact with creating setups. And this is how you can create the game for yourself. So you can create a new game. It'll ask for a bunch of details, box art, how the game works, etc., photos, and you can go from there. And then once you do that, like Richard said, you can just import the artwork from your existing print-ready game, and that'll allow you to just place them in the space. It's once you're familiar with it, it's a fairly streamlined process. But yes, again, like Richard mentioned, we do also have a paid option as well. So you can pay us 300 USD to import the game, and we'll be able to take it out off your hands and make sure it gets done right. But again, if you just want to do the game yourself and submit it for approval, we're more than happy just to give you a bit of advice to get it just over the line.
Just that few hints and tips on what will make it the game you imagine in real life.
Yeah, and I've got to say the support service has been brilliant. I mean, I would fire a question off, and you'd think, "Oh, I'm not going to hear about that for 3 days," and usually within an hour or two, somebody would pop back up and answer the question. So they were pretty good at that. The other thing I think that this is very useful for is if you are playtesting games.
Yes.
Because you don't have to have print-ready stuff. You can just literally bring in back of a postcard sketches and just use their components or whatever, and you can make your own games in this, and it's a very useful environment, particularly at the moment with the lockdown and everything else, and difficulty in getting together with people to play test, to actually just get your play testers into that room and get them to run through the play test, which is very useful.
I guess the sandbox element helps with things like blind playtesting when you want them to literally read the rules and do what you think you've told them to do. Without that kind of app sort of feel with the literal table sense, you can see that perhaps rule number 4 is not as clear as I hoped, and go back and iterate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people enjoy using it for playtesting. And one thing I should mention actually is if you create a game in the workshop space, that doesn't have to be publicly submitted to our website. So you can create these things called play zones, which allow you to share a link to the game that can be privately accessed by anyone who has that link. And that's a nice way for playtesting and demoing games. So you can actually privately upload a game and share it with demoers. I know Renegade Con, for example, they had a lot of their games uploaded privately, and then they had a Discord server where they had people queuing, and then the demoers would come, share the private link with them, and take them through the games. And that was a really nice way of getting the games into people's hands without actually publishing it publicly.
Nice. There's plenty of options going on there then. So it's not just
100%.
I like it. It's been a whirlwind education, Mark. Thank you very much.
No problem.
If we give it a minute or so, chat, if you have anything you'd like to ask Mark about Tabletopia, from just about finding games or how to get your games on there, we'll give it a minute or so to see if anybody's got anything else. But yeah, I've really enjoyed kind of rooting through some of the games on there. I'm really surprised at how many games there are. I was scrolling through. I love my social deduction games and that kind of stuff. I was really surprised at some of the titles that were in there. And you don't have to stick with the official rules, because I'm a bit of a sneaky player. You have to watch me.
Oh, sure.
So I was quite taken aback by I was expecting a platform that would say, okay, do you want to do this action or this action? And no, I can just push that meeple a little bit further into the next zone, and maybe they won't notice. And that kind of stuff. So,
sometimes I could see the use though for a hand slap function. Because I
sure.
was playing this when I was doing this play test when on the Expo guy's Pat, and he was getting pieces on top of everybody else's pieces, and we felt like just sort of reaching across the table and hitting him or something. So, but yes, that can happen.
Yes. We've got a question from For Shits and Giggles. For Shits and Giggles is wondering if we're doing free premium games for VGC. Similar to how we did it with VGC. And I believe, Richard, that we're doing free premium access for anyone who has a UK Games Expo ticket.
Yes, I think that's the plan. Yes, I think we need to work through the mechanics of that between the two of us. But in terms of actually, if that's certainly something which would be great to offer as well, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Scoops,
Scoops. Yeah. Yes, exactly. No, but thank you for asking that. And the other question they had is, what is the process for adding new games to the list? Are you referring to sort of our new releases sections and the Kickstarter sections. I mean, we sort of play them by ear, and I mean, we're the curators, really. If it is a new release, it will by default go into the new releases section. If it is a Kickstarter game, it will go into the Kickstarter section. Beyond that, we feature games that we think people will really enjoy on the featured section of the front page. Do we approach publishers or do they approach us? It's sort of a mix. It's really, we look for games that we think are exciting and we want on the platform and we think people would enjoy. And we also will sometimes get people coming to us and saying they really want their games out there. So an upcoming Kickstarter might be excited to get their game on Tabletopia, or maybe someone wants to demo their games. So for example, Detective, which is just on Tabletopia now, it's the 6th case. It's not the full game. It's actually a sort of like sequel-ish standalone thing you can play that's easier than the normal game, and it's a really good introduction to the game. So sometimes publishers will have their own reasons for coming to us, but also sometimes we just really want a game on the platform and we'll go out to them.
And like we were saying,
we're certainly encouraging exhibitors who are going to be exhibiting at the Virtually Expo to get their games on there, because I think it's a great way to demonstrate it. Even if actually you conclude that that your game isn't quite ready for the publication stage, you can still run it out in those private rooms, and it's a perfectly good environment to demonstrate it to people. Well, you think it can take you a little bit longer to get it ready, but it can still be played.
And then,
definitely.
And then we mentioned a little bit earlier, if there isn't a game on Tabletopia that you really want to play over Virtually Expo, tell the publishers. Tell them.
Yes, please. Tell them.
Just a reminder, I would really like to play this game at Virtually Expo. Can you get it on Tabletopia by August, please?
Get on with it.
That would be great.
And just contact them. We'll certainly love to see even more games at the weekend.
Absolutely.
So I think that covers Chits and Giggles. Second question was, are we working with more publishers to kind of get them to preview games? And the answer is yes. Will Wotan fit their giant bus on Tabletopia? Mark may not be aware. When we were in the NEC, was it? No, they didn't make it last year. It was the year before. Wotan Games have a fully sized double-decker bus that they drive into the NEC hall, which then looks like a teeny tiny Tonka toy. Because of the size of the halls. I'm sure if Wotan have got a 3D model of the bus, they could put it on a table.
If they want to import the bus, I'm sure we can replicate that somehow.
There we go. So folks, you have to message Wotan Games and let them know that.
You're gonna have to prod them.
Yeah.
Come on, Lawrence, you can make it happen.
There's been a wonderful chatting with you, Mark. Just let everybody know where they can find you. A little bit more details about Tabletopia.
Absolutely. You can find us on any of your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're also tabletopia.com. And we're available to play on Android, iOS, your web browser, the Steam gaming platform, pretty much anywhere. So, and if we're not there, let us know and we'll try and get there.
Thank you. We're going to take a couple of minutes comfort break so I can get another cup of coffee.